Take too many more.
He's going to fold him up.
He cannot take too many more of these. I mean, the body.
The world of MMA fighting has been pretty loud these days, especially since the much-anticipated UFC 285 is about to happen. Everybody's pretty much excited about Jon Jones, but even more are feeling the hype for Ciryl Gane, who is labeled as the deadliest fighter. And here's why. Many have noticed that apart from being a formidable fighter, off the cage, Gane is known for something else. Ciryl Gane can usually be heard before being seen. In most cases, his infectious chuckle is something that people tend to remember about him.
That you can land your strikes, he's got to try to give him a feel that a takedown may come.
Oh, he hurt him.
So yeah, you could say he's one of the happiest people around, which is surprising, especially if you knew where he came from and the hardships he went through. You'd think, how does he manage to still keep his head high and have a happy heart? With his recent interview with UFC.com, we got to know this guy better, and he's in a much better place now than he was a few years ago. In June 2021, Gane was unbeaten and on his way to challenge Derek Lewis for an interim heavyweight title. Gane's opportunity to compete for the gold after making his professional debut in 2018 only took 3 years. And yet, his lone defeat came in a title match against undisputed heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou. To be fair, it's Ngannou. He's one tough cookie. But you know what? Gane is just happy that he even got to fight with Ngannou. Before Francis Ngannou, I was just a young guy, fighting just to be happy, the fighter said about himself. I am still like that, which I think is really important. A happy fighter is a dangerous fighter, so to stay like that with this mindset is really important. Also, Gane feels more mature today and is certain that he will win the belt this time around. And what do you know? You can't keep a happy fighter down. Following his defeat to Ngannou in a historic match in Paris, Bon Gamin bounced back, and with a bang. And yeah, in case you didn't know, he was the main event, and it was the first time the UFC visited France. He defeated Tai Tuivasa by a knockout in the 3rd round in front of his own supporters.
And then to the chin, an uppercut again and again. Tai Tuivasa trying to remain on the feet, but you can only take so much.
Making it an experience he will never forget. Gane calls this triumph really crazy and really important. He says it was crucial for him to get a win after losing to Ngannou, which he achieved and which made him happy. However, the fact he achieved his victory in front of his supporters, family, and friends made him even more pleased, claiming that all of these things made it even more unique. The heavyweight championship hasn't been challenged since Ngannou and Gane's fight in Anaheim in January of last year, because Ngannou has been sidelined with a knee issue. The top-ranked player in the division is still Gane, who is followed by Stipe Miocic, Sergey Pavlovich, Curtis Blades, and Tai Tuivasa. The 32-year-old native of France is pleased to rank among the top players in his league. Even though he is still young, Gane is proud of what he has accomplished in his career thus far and feels like a veteran in the sport at this point. According to Gane, who spoke to UFC.com, he has accomplished a lot already and learned a lot of experience from his first defeat against Francis. Gane had a Muay Thai history before moving to MMA, and during that period, he never suffered a defeat. Because of this, he now has a lot of experience and is more mature when he works out and discusses his professional goals with his coach. His training partner, Nassourdine Imavov, who just headlined his first big event at UFC Fight Night, Strickland vs. Imavov, has been able to benefit from his knowledge and experience. They both train at the MMA factory in Paris, and Gane has supported Imavov in his most recent matches. In comparison to all of his other sparring partners, Nassourdine is the one with whom Gane says he spars the most. He is aware of him and is aware of his capacity for good deeds, which makes Gane glad to be around him and demonstrates his maturity. Gane claims Nassourdine is also aware of Gane's somewhat more UFC experience. You know what's actually eerie about Gane's? It's like he has a gift of foresight or something. You see, back in September, he suffered a hand injury that required surgery. Obviously, he had to take time to recover for 2 months. After that, he was pretty much okay and went back to training. This was the time that he said he was ready to get back around March, and even called out Jon Jones on Twitter, saying he's free this March. Lo and behold, he got the fight. Imavov and Gane will square off for the undisputed heavyweight championship at UFC 285 on March 4th, according to UFC president Dana White, who made the announcement shortly after Imavov and Gane's match ended. The gold has always been Gane's ultimate objective, and he'll have another chance to win it when he faces former UFC heavyweight champion Jones. And now, what has Ciryl Gane had to say about his upcoming fight with Jon Jones? Obviously, he's taking pleasure in it. His fight with the said champion this weekend at UFC 285 marks his debut in the heavyweight division, so of course there are a lot of reasons to celebrate. In an interview with TMZ Sports, Gane expressed his excitement for the task of competing against Jones, one of the greatest fighters in UFC. The vacant UFC heavyweight title will be at stake in Gane and Jones's fight on Saturday in Las Vegas. This came to light after UFC and Ngannou were unable to agree on a new deal, and the championship became available. Jones is a much more seasoned boxer, having competed in 28 fights, but most of them took place at light heavyweight. The 35-year-old veteran hasn't competed since UFC 247 in February 2020, heightening the possibility that he'll be rusty on Saturday when he enters the octagon. Now, Jones has an impressive career record of 26-1 with 1 no contest. His lone defeat was in 2009 when he was disqualified for using illegal elbows. But since then, Jones has fought 18 times without losing. Jones will likely move slower at heavyweight than he did at light heavyweight, according to Gane, but he will still move faster than most heavyweights, so that's something to observe this weekend. But then again, he's the Jon Jones. He is the same person who beat a still improving Mauricio Shogun Rua in Newark, New Jersey in 2011 to become the UFC's youngest champion. For almost every other MMA fighter before or since, this would have been a career-defining performance, but for Jones, it was simply another victory. This is the man who defeated 4 former UFC champions in his first 4 light heavyweight title defenses, dispatching 3 of them. Like, who does that? And with so much ease to boot. He is the person who, in addition to his 26 victories, has defeated a Bellator 2-weight champion, 2 UFC Hall of Famers, and 6 former UFC champions. How many fighters do you know that boast this kind of record? None. It's just him. The fight on Saturday is an absolute uncertainty due to Jones' inexperience at heavyweight and the potential alterations to his physique and fighting style brought on by gaining weight. Regardless, it will be a huge test for Gane, who is still looking for a memorable victory after losing to Ngannou the year before. With that, this has been today's video of why Ciryl Gane is the deadliest fighter.